Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling page. Today we're going to be creating two pages with one background. So I'm starting my Large Dilutions journal, and I'm starting off the way I usually start off with lots of different colours paints. Now this is a slightly different colour palette that I'm using, which I've been exploring a little bit. I've been using a few more pastel-y colours in my work, which I'm actually quite enjoying. So I started off with some of this apricot colour. I've got the marine and then some rouge, I think, and then I'm going back over to sort of mix it together with some of the carnation. So I'm finding sort of using the lighter colours to do as a bit of a mix has been really interesting. So again, I'm using one of the lighter blues to sort of come in and add a little bit of extra something to the page. Now I'm going in with my Stabilo oil pencil, drawing into the wet paint and then water activating it so I get some of it bleeding out. One of the things I found too, I've just gone over and spritzed some gloss spray on the background, and then with some water I've hit it with some water, which gives you these beautiful sort of watercolory puddles and cells on your background. The reason I like using the gloss sprays to do that is because once it does dry, even though it's quite wet in my pages at the moment, you can see it is permanent, unlike watercolours. If I add extra layers on top, it's going to reactivate and do all sorts of weird and wonderful things. So just have a think. I know it's hard when you're in the moment, but what are you likely to be putting on top? I know in most of my pages, I tend to put some collage or something on top of my pages. So I tend to leave any water reactive layers until the very end. I did put the Stabilo oil pencil in the middle, but I don't mind a bit of smudgy black in the background, so that doesn't really bother me. If it was really worrying me, I would certainly leave it sort of to the end. Now I'm going in with a little bit of stamping. Again, just sort of randomly over the page. I'm just using little dots and dashes just to add some black, but it's a little bit more controlled. I'm also re-ink my pad. If you don't re-ink your pads, it's a good idea to. I know a lot of new stampers don't realise that you actually have to do that. Their pads start getting really dry and they wonder why. So re-inkers are there. It's really easy to do, and you'll get beautiful stamping afterwards. So it's always worthwhile having. So you see I'm going around in the background now and adding in some stenciling as well, just to boost up some of the colour, get some more interest on the page, and doing some mark making. There's a lot going on in this page. It is a very busy background, as a lot of my backgrounds are, but I was having fun with it. If I wanted to sort of dial some stuff down, that's when you can go in with the white or a lighter colour. So you can see here I'm actually using a pale pink colour, but just by putting that on, you can see it's sort of starting to bring some of the other madness a little bit under control. It's one of the reasons a lot of artists talk about white space. I'm not very good at it, but it is very important for your page. And if you can't do it, adding in afterwards, whether it be like using some gesso, painting it in, or stenciling white over the top, is always a good idea. So I'm putting some other mark making with that cheddar colour. Again, when I do mark making, you'll see me changing my size of my brush. I just find that personally easier for me. So if I've got a few different type brushes, I have a go with using those. So this is me trying to experiment with trying to make drippy lines on my page without making a huge amount of mess. And it kind of worked. So you can sort of see I've got my drips coming down there, which I was quite happy with. Then I started to spray some extra water just to get it run a little bit more, and made it into a bit of a dark mess at the top, but that's okay. This is what learning experiences are all about. So I just used some of my black gloss spray to do that. Obviously, if you had black ink or if you had black watered down black paint, it will do similar job. So obviously you may not be able to spray it, but you can certainly drip it down the top of the page. Again, because it got so black, I've gone in with some of my silver gloss spray, or a white acrylic ink would do the same, and just sort of spritz that over the top. If you are putting your gloss spray stencil into your book, remember to remove it before it sticks to the page so you won't tear your paper like I just did, just FYI. So here I've got sort of my background image of my 2 pages. I'm just again going in with a little bit of white. This is white stamping of a script stamp to control that blackness a little bit, just to lighten it off, to make it blend in a little bit more with the page. And you can sort of see what a difference it makes, just putting that little bit of white over the top. So playing around with your blacks and whites are really, really important. And if you find something's too overpowering, go over and stencil with something white. It will make a huge difference. So on one of these pages, I'm going to keep it quite abstracty. And I'm going in with some words. This is just using the word paint. I'm just going to repeat it over and over again on the page. Again, using sort of the apricot colour I've used in the background. And then just taking the stencil off the page. So it's not making any sense at the moment, but you know, you've got that word coming off across the page. Then I'm going in with my white just to make it a little bit brighter and a little bit more of a focus. So I've got the other bits sort of retreating into the background, but I've got one word, the focal word on the page. Then I'm going in with the leftover white because it was there and doing some stenciling with some white paint. So you can sort of see how that's echoing around the page and doing what it needs to. Finally, to make the words pop out on this page, I'm going in with my black paint pen and doing a drop shadow on the page or on the letters, just to help push them out from the background. I've got some leftover paint and I loathe wasting paint, so because it was there, I decided to do some extra mark making on my other page. Again, just adding in little dots of white. So if you didn't have the white paint, which I'm sure you all do, use a paint pen or something like that to do something similar. And you can sort of see the difference between the stenciled regular dots on one page versus sort of irregular, funny looking scribbly paintbrush dots on the other page. When I finish off that first page, I'm just doing some asemic writing, so doing some journaling that's really, really messy. While it is actually words when I'm writing there, I couldn't go back and read those now. I've got a feeling that those words were about how I felt about painting in that page. Most likely that's what they're about, but I can't go back and actually read it because once I've got it out of my system, it's out of my system. So I found these 2 little images in a magazine. I can't remember what magazine I got. I sometimes wind up with weird and wonderful images from all over. But I really like sort of the man's in the bear suit, she's wearing the bear's head. The colours really resembled the colours in the background as well, which is one of the reasons I chose it. And particularly the bear head, very much must be my primary school training. Maybe I'm very much into fairy tales, picture books, that sort of thing. So it really appealed to me, the image and sort of, you know, the dark forest in the background and so on. I could sort of tell a story about it. You'll notice with my quote, I didn't have enough room to write it in and around the image, so I've actually written over the image. I've tried to avoid the most important points of the image, but I really don't mind that I'm writing over her legs or into the bear's body because, you know, it still works. You can still read it. You can still see the image. So that's, for me in this page, the quote was the thing I wanted to focus on. So I think the quote is, "Some days I'm more wolf than woman. I'm still learning to stop apologising for my wild," which I thought was very, very appropriate because I am a chronic apologiser for things. And I do have to stop myself from apologising for things which I don't need to apologise for. So once my pen was dry, then I'm going to go around like I always do and do a bit of a drop shadow. And you can sort of see the difference as I start to write these on. These letters suddenly form on the page, even though they're already there. Just by putting that little bit of black on, it really helps push them out from the background. It's just such a simple way to make your page look more finished, to make your text more readable, and to, you know, tie everything together. So if you don't put a little drop shadow or something on your letters, have a go, see if you like the effect or not. But certainly if you're finding your quotes are getting lost on your page, it's a really good way to get them to pop out from the background. I like on this page that I did choose something other than white to write the quote. So this is a very apricot-y colour, which again sort of is an echo of those colours that I've used in the background. So this is a close-up of the first page, which gives you a bit of a better look at the background. You can see all those layers, how grungy and gritty it can be, almost like sort of layers of graffiti. On the second page, I've still got the same background, but then I've got that writing over the top that really pops out, and the quote as well. So it sort of all ties together. So two of exactly the same background, but two completely different pages. So I hope you have a go at doing something similar. Lots and lots of fun. Great way to push yourself outside your comfort zone. Until next time, bye for now.